So this is, I mean, I guess you could call it like a somewhat serious video, but obviously, if you couldn't tell by the title, I've been out of the Touhou fandom, quote unquote, out of the Touhou fandom. I mean, I still like some of the characters. I still play Lost Word. Still talk about characters, stuff like that. But the fandom itself, I left a while ago. And that's what I'm talking about this video, because I mean, people are getting curious about why I left the fandom. And I'm going to answer that. Some good milk. Drink your milk, kids. But yeah. First reason I left the Touhou fandom. Gatekeeping. Yeah, gatekeeping. Like, there's people who say, ooh, if you don't believe such and such, or, oh, if you only focus on the canon side of the fandom, then you're gatekeeping. But, okay, think about it first. You're calling someone who only focuses on the canon fandom, which every fandom should do. I mean, I guess it kind of counts as gatekeeping, but you're saying that if you only focus on the canon side of the franchise, they need to get out of the fandom. That's gatekeeping on its own. So not only are you getting mad at people for gatekeeping, but you're a hypocrite for gatekeeping yourself. So, good job. You made yourself look like an idiot. That section's really all that needs to be said about gatekeeping. Like, people get mad at other people who focus on, like, the canon side of things and don't want to hear anything about fanon or headcanon, nothing than that. People get mad at people like that and say they're gatekeeping, and they need to get out of their fandom. Like, you're gatekeeping on your own. There's nothing else that needs to be said. You're a hypocrite. Shame on you. You're part of the problem. And there's a people in fandom, well, only on the western side of the fandom, like here in North America where I live, the western side of the Touhou fandom, because Japan's in the east, which is where it originates from, and here in North America, the United States, we're in the west, so western hemisphere of the world. It's, yeah, so if I say western side of the fandom, I mean, like, people in, like, North America and stuff like that. But I've only seen this on the western side of the Touhou fandom. If you don't ship any of the characters of the same gender at all, if you don't ship any of the characters, you're immediately homophobic. Just think about it. You're homophobic because you don't ship any fictional characters with one another. Again, fictional characters. If you don't ship any of them with one another, you're homophobic. Where does the correlation between those things come from? Trick question. There is no correlation. People are just fucking stupid. And that's not just part of the... That's just not the Touhou fandom doing it. That's every fandom. If you don't ship any characters with one another, you're homophobic. And that's not... But that's not counting, like, fictional characters as well. That counts, like, actual living, real-life human beings. If you don't ship someone who's male... Like, for example... Take me, for example, right? People believe that if you don't ship me with another one, with a male buddy of mine, you're homophobic. And you're probably thinking, well, shipping real people with... Comparing shipping real people with to fictional characters isn't the same thing. The principle is still there. Like, shipping real-life human beings, 100% wrong. Like, but, if it's fictional characters, I mean, sure, it's free game, but you're honestly wasting your time. Because, especially if it's a franchise that doesn't focus on romance at all, like Touhou, it has zero to do with romance, therefore... Shipping characters is stupid and a waste of your time. But the Western side of the Touhou fandom is like, oh, if you're not shipping the characters with one another, you're homophobic and you're not an actual fan of the franchise. Like, what? Like, how does any of that relate to anything at all? It doesn't. Like, because, but hey, again, all fan bases do that. Which, and you know, if you're homophobic and you're on Twitter, you're gonna get canceled. Which never fucking works, by the way. Which is, you know, why I'm still here. Because a former friend of mine, as well as his, I call them buddies, they tried to cancel me. Obviously failed. I'm still here doing stuff. And they're all still trying to cancel me, by the way. Because, yeah. It all started because I said shipping Touhou characters with one another is stupid and a waste of time. They all got butthurt and started to try to cancel me because of that. And here's the thing too, I've had people from the eastern side of fandom, actually from Japan and stuff, back me up on that topic too. They, again, these are like actual Japanese people from the eastern side of the Touhou fandom as well. They back me up. And they try to cancel those Japanese people too because, oh, they're supporting a homophobe. I have nothing against gay people. Like, I don't care if you're straight, gay, bi, pansexual, whatever. I don't care. Like, as long as you're not an absolute piece of shit, like the people who have tried to cancel me are, especially my former friend that's been trying to cancel me for almost a year now. Like, if you're not an absolute piece of shit like that, then yeah, I'll interact with you, whatever. You seem, if you're pretty chill, cool. We're on good terms. But, hey, again, I'm not homophobic. Putting that out there for those who need to know. I'm not homophobic at all. But apparently I am, since I don't ship fictional characters with one another. That makes me homophobic, which has zero correlation with anything, because again, Touhou is a multimedia franchise at this point that has zero focus on romance. So, I'm not wasting my time with stupid shit like that. But apparently, if you hate on it, then you're homophobic. Same goes with, me being transphobic as well. Because in Touhou, there's this religious character named Toyosaito Mimi no Maiko, who was at one point male, right? Maiko was male at one point. And she's female now, but she was male at one point. Based off Prince Shotoku from actual real life mythology and shit like that. History and everything. And here's the thing. People, again, tend to just completely ignore actual canon and source material for characters like that, because a lot of characters are based off, Japanese mythology and stuff like that. So, people tend to ignore that and just focus on mainly fanon stuff. Because, fanon's what's keeping Touhou alive. Which, I will admit, it's true. But it's keeping Touhou alive for all the wrong reasons. And people wanted to start an argument with me many times, so I brought up actual excerpts from interviews, stuff like that, at real interviews, stuff like that, excerpts and everything like that about mythologies, especially of that one character I mentioned that was based off Prince Shotoku. Saying that she was male at one point and did have a wife who is also a character in Touhou, right? And apparently sourcing actual excerpts from interviews, stuff like that, where it explains that character was male at one point and based off an actual prince in mythology or history or whatever, that makes me transphobic. No, it doesn't. That just means I'm actually citing my sources, using my resources to back up my point. That's what you do. That's what someone with an actual brain does. Right? And here's the thing. These are also adults and college students trying to argue with me with this. People who have actual jobs. I don't have a job. I don't go to school. I don't go to college. I'm an adult. And I'm sourcing all of the information I'm giving out as well. I'm using panels from the official canon mangas. I'm using translated quotes from the games. I'm citing stuff based on what the characters are supposed to be based off of, stuff like that. And here's people saying, "Oh no, that's wrong, because that's not what the fanon says." It's if you're gonna treat fanon as canon, and you're giving me shit for not being a real fan, take what you're thinking into perspective. Because I'm actually taking the canon, which is what a real fan does, and just using it to prove a point. You're using fanon, of all things, to prove your point. Fanon, compared to what I'm using, which is canon. and I'm apparently not a real fan. Just think about that. I've had people block me for stuff like that, too. Like, I've gotten death threats. I've been reported. Obviously, none of that's happened. I haven't been banned or anything like that. In fact, it's actually been the opposite. The people who reported me for stuff for backing up my argument with canon, those people who try to argue against me using fanon, they themselves got perma-banned and stuff like that. I got nothing. And yeah. And that brings me to another topic, reason why I left the Touhou fandom. Touhou fans are doxing one another. Because, I mean, I've seen it happen on multiple occasions. Like, someone would say something that was canon, and say that they don't care about fanon and stuff like that. I've seen people dox that person, give out their private information, death threats, all that kind of stuff, swatted even. Like, I've seen tweets like that and shit quite a few times. Just because they don't like fanon. Like, people have gotten doxxed for shit for that. Like, if people are doxing each other in a fandom because someone said they didn't like something that most of the fandom likes, like, say a ship, for example. Say, I mean, the two most known characters in Touhou are Reimu and Marissa, right? Most of the Western side of the fandom ships those two together, even though they're technically rivals, right? They're friends, but they're rivals. So, people ship them together, right? Say someone who was also in the Western side of the fandom, say someone didn't like that ship, right? The people who like that ship then decide to dox that one person just because they don't like the ship. Why? Like, it's like, they didn't do that to you just because you ship the characters, no. But you decide to dox them because they don't ship the characters you do. Like, what the fuck? And yeah, there's also people like starting shit with one another in the fandom as well. Like, I've seen people talking shit about people behind their backs, and I'm one of the people who have been talked about behind their backs, and I know I'm being talked about behind my back because, again, that one scumbag of a former friend I had, we share mutual friends, even though we're not friends ourselves. We still have mutual friends. So I know they're talking shit. That person is talking shit behind my back through my mutual friends. Because, again, while I can't see their tweets, I can see their response. I can see that mutual's response to them. And I've seen them talk about me. Obviously not taking sides, but I'm talking about my mutuals. Mentioning me, talking about me. Again, not mentioning sides. So I have nothing against them. But I know someone's talking shit about me behind my back. Because it's either this is an account you blocked, which I've very minimal people I've blocked in the Touhou fandom. It's mostly like bots and stuff like that I've blocked because, yeah, reasons. It's either I block them, which is very minimal, if at all, or this tweet author limits who can see their tweets. Meaning, that's someone who's blocked me, and they're talking shit about me behind my back. Which, yeah. So, if you're a Touhou fan, regardless, you're not safe from other Touhou fans. Again, that goes for every fandom, but Touhou seems to be the worst at it for some strange reason. Like, Sonic fandom, yeah, it's bad. But it's not as bad as Touhou has gone. Like, ooh, it's really bad. Touhou fandom's like really fucking mad about it. And that's a shame because, again, I still like some of the characters. Like, in fact, I got my own Alice last year. I ordered her on my birthday. She came 6 days later. I've had her ever since. And honestly, I'm really glad I bought her because she's my second favorite character in the franchise. So, of course I'm gonna get her. I would have gotten Yuka, who is my favorite, but she's over $200. I didn't have that. I paid like a little over $11 for Alice here. A little over 11. I kind of gotta dust her off a bit though. And I still have the box too. I still have a box because, yeah, if I ever want to like move or something, take all my stuff with me, I would need to put Alice somewhere. So I have the box because just in case I was going somewhere. So yeah, that's why I keep the box. Like, it was a little like bent and torn when it came in. Again, not the seller's fault. It happens upon shipping, so again. And the seller and I actually had a nice civilized conversation on eBay actually after I bought it. And she arrived. We had an actual civilized conversation, stuff like that. Like, it's fun. So, yeah, again, not all people of the Touhou fandom are bad, because, again, the seller of the Alice figure I've got was actually pretty fucking chill. We had a nice civilized conversation, stuff like that. And the thing is, this isn't one of those like homemade figures either. This is an official for you figure. Like, this is official. So, and these things normally go for like $40 at least. I got her Alice for over 11. So, yeah. Honestly, really glad I made this purchase. And ordered her on my birthday, got it on the 17th of February. 6 days later after I ordered her. I've had her ever since. Like, no mess, unless you count like dust and stuff like that, but just no mess, nothing of hers broken. Perfect condition like she came in. Had her for almost a year. And honestly, really glad I got her. But yeah, I'm like really glad I bought her too. Because, again, she's my second favorite character, so yeah. Hell, in fact, she's the reason I like the Shadow monsters in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Because she uses dolls. She uses dolls in Touhou, so for her everyday life and everything, she uses dolls, which is actually why I like Shadows in Yu-Gi-Oh! So the reason why I like Shadows is because of Alice. So, yeah. But, yeah, if you were wondering why I like Shadows, Alice. But, yeah. Anyways, that's enough of my Alice figure right now. And, yeah, back to the fandom. If you're a Touhou fan, you're not safe from the fandom you're in at all. Again, it goes for every fandom, but Touhou seems to be, as of right now, probably the worst. Because, you know, before the former friend of mine I had, as well as his buddies, tried to cancel me, I made a video on my other channel last year. Well, it was either last year or the year before. Stating that calling out a guy who got mad that Touhou 17.5 got delayed because one of the developers got sick. I called that person out for hoping that one developer dies. They hoped that one developer died because just because they had to delay the development for 17.5 and stuff like that because the developer got sick. That person got so upset that it got delayed. They wished that developer died from the illness they had. And then they proceeded to say, "Ooh, I could develop a game faster than they did." And it found out that they were doing like Mega Man ROM hacks or something. It was either just Mega Man or Mega Man X. It was one of the two. It was a Mega Man game regardless. They were making ROM hacks, Mega Man characters. And I stated in that video that... So yeah, I stated in the video that they got upset because the game got delayed. And just wanted to brag that they could develop a game faster than they could because they got delayed. And brought up another fact saying that it's a ROM hack. So what they're making is, I mean, it's a ROM hack, so it's somewhat original, but it's still using assets from like official Mega Man games, like enemy sprites, Mega Man sprites, music, backgrounds, stuff like that. They're basically, quote unquote, stealing. I wouldn't call it stealing, but it's also not their original assets. So they're taking that, bragging. They're taking using those assets that Capcom themselves originated and created themselves like over 30 years ago, and saying they can make a game faster than that person could, bragging about it. Again, Touhou is the mainline games are made by one guy themselves, but the spin-offs are made from a small group of people, so of course it's going to take longer for the games to come out regardless. But that person wants to brag that they can make a game faster using assets from other Mega Man games, stuff like that, like music, character sprites, backgrounds, stuff like that. And to hope that one of the developers for that game dies because they had to delay it. Like, I said that they should be ashamed of themselves. That video did gain a lot of traction shortly after it. And then shortly after that video got spread around, that person deleted the tweet they made that I made the video about. And then I made a follow-up video to that video. And yeah. And keep in mind, there were people supporting that person, by the way, for whatever reason. There were people supporting that person. And if you're going to support someone like that, you don't deserve any respect either. I said that in the video too. And I didn't get any negative backlash from that person or any of the people supporting that person. I got no backlash from them at all. But yeah, that was like a year and a half ago or something like that. That was a little while ago. So, and that was on my other channel. But yeah. And then fast forward to like now. Touhou fans are doxing one another, sending death threats, everything, trying to cancel each other. At this point, it's like it's like, why am I even part of this fandom anymore? If people are gonna be like this, what's the point? Like, I could be a target. In fact, I essentially am a target myself already. Have been for almost a year. But yeah, that's also why I left speedrunning community, because you know, new runners would, you know, be accused of cheating just because they're a new runner. Like, and stuff like that. So especially if they weren't like well-known people. Like, if they weren't well-known or they were a new runner, if they were somehow cheating, like, it's like, why? No, that's not how it works. But yeah, I left the speedrunning community myself because, you know, I didn't want to be accused of cheating when I obviously wasn't. So, because cheating kind of defeats the purpose of playing the game in the first place. So, I refuse to cheat, especially in a speedrun. And I didn't want to be exposed for being a cheater when I'm clearly not. So I decided, yeah, I'm not taking that risk, and left the speedrunning community. Which is also why I left the Touhou fandom. Because, again, I'm not transphobic, I'm not homophobic, I'm none of that. But if you don't ship any of the characters with one another, you're immediately homophobic, even when you're not. Like, there's actual homophobic people in the Touhou fandom shipping the characters with one another. Again, they're actually homophobic. And they're shipping fictional female characters with one another. And me not shipping them with one another makes me homophobic. Like, what? But yeah, that's why I left the Touhou fandom. it's really a shame because, again, I like Touhou as a franchise. Like, I've showed you my Alice figure. Like, I've got a Touhou. I've played a few of the games. Hell, I've even got a couple of the manga. Like, I've even got a couple. I got volumes 5 and 7 of Forbidden Scrollery. And I still want to complete my collection on this. Because Forbidden Scrollery is fucking amazing. Like, it really is. So, yeah, I still want to finish my collection for this. Gotta find the other 5 volumes, though. But I'm sure over time I'll complete my collection. So, while I'm still a fan of Touhou, I'm not in the fandom. Like, and that's another thing, though, too. When I left the Touhou fandom to get back in, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! And stuff like that, I was sent a lot of hate for it. Just because I, you know, left one fandom just to return to another one after over a decade. Like, what sense? What's the point of sending someone to hate just because they left a fandom? Like, why? Again, Alice is the sole reason I'm into the Shadows in the first place. So, just because I left the fandom, just the fandom itself, doesn't mean doesn't mean I hate the franchise. Like, it doesn't. I just left the fandom because the fandom's fucking dog shit. And people got upset at me over it. Which is, you know, when people decided, you know, start trying to cancel me and stuff like that. And, yeah. Just because I didn't like the fandom itself. Not the franchise. I like the franchise. It's the fandom itself I don't like. And I was going to be canceled for it. It's like, no, don't do that. But, yeah, that's all I really have to say on the Touhou fandom, at least for now. Until, you know, something happens in the Touhou fandom that's worth talking about. But, yeah. Off topic of the discussion. Let me know what you guys think about these kinds of videos. If I should do them more often. And if I should I do it like this? Or should I have gameplay in the background instead of me talking to you? And it is, if you want more videos like this in the future. If so, let me know. Because, again, I'm 100% willing to do videos like this whenever I need to. Or at least want to. Because, yeah, again, it's different. I said I wanted to do different things on this channel other than, you know, gaming. I mean, gaming videos, obviously, biggest focus, but I also want to do, like, other stuff, too. As mentioned in my video I uploaded on New Year's Day, mentioning that I wanted to do other stuff this year, since it's the new year. This is something I wanted to do. This is part of that. But yeah, let me know if you want more videos like this. I'm 100% willing to do more like this. And if you do, how do you want them? But, yeah, I'm gonna finish my milk, eat some cookies, maybe some Smarties, and see you in the next video.